Shouldn't financial advice focus on you, your goals, challenges, dreams for the future? At Modern Woodmen, our goal is to help you plan for your financial security. Our representatives are people you can trust to help bring your dreams to life. Modern Woodmen can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement.
Contact your local representative at Arthur today at 989-834-3300.
Modern Woodmen of America, touching lives, securing futures.
This podcast contains some strong language and some stories involving violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Warfighters United, where veterans' voices are heard and transitional programs and resources provided. Today's podcast is brought to you by Modern Woodmen Fraternal Financial, an organization that will help navigate life's most important decisions, from life insurance to college to financial planning. Modern Woodmen has your family covered. To find more about Modern Woodmen, go to www.modernwoodmen.org. Today, we have a very special guest with us on Warfighters United. He served in the Marine Corps from 1964 to 1968 in the Air Wing, 42-plus years at Boeing as a Chief Scientist Technology for Fighter Aircraft, and then he's also not only a board member, but a mentor at Focus Marines Foundation. Wendell Webb, welcome to Warfighters United.
Glad to be with you, Eric.
So, Wendell, you served in Vietnam from 1964 to 1968. Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I volunteered. I had gone to college for a couple of years and didn't want to borrow any more money, so I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1964, 64, not 54, and in 1968. And I was very fortunate to be selected to attend their best electronic schools and radio relay and ground radio communication, and so it launched a career for me.
Yeah, so what was it like in Vietnam? Did you just go over once, or?
I was over there one time. I stayed a little bit longer than the normal tour, but basically I was in communications, so I was like a Maytag repairman. They put me on choppers, and I flew all over the I-Corps area fixing troposcatter radios. Plus, I was in Da Nang at 5th Communication Battalion, where we did the eye-level and depot-level maintenance on the troposcatter systems because they were just brand new to the Marine Corps and the first over-the-horizon radios the Marine Corps ever had. Everything else had to be line of sight before that time.
That must have helped our troops out when they were fighting in Vietnam.
Yes, it set up the first communication network that we could radio relay over the mountains and stuff, so you could be up at Dong Ha, Phu Bai, Khe Sanh, and talk directly to Da Nang, and you could be patched into any place in the United States.
Wow, so you could talk from Vietnam to the United States if you wanted to?
Yes, there were ways you could do that, yes.
Holy smokes! I didn't even know that existed back then. That must have been a huge feat when they created that.
Yes, it was. It was a very unique system, and you could tie it into Da Nang to the headquarters comm site there under General Walt.
And when you got out in 1968, how were Marines and our soldiers being treated when they got home?
When I came home, they asked us to put on civilian clothes at the base, and we did not wear uniforms when they put us on the commercial airplanes, and we were already starting to have the riots and people spitting on us and things like that. So we actually had to have a police escort through the Los Angeles airport to catch our flights home.
Wow, that's despicable that United States was that way back then. And so you get out of the Marine Corps in 1968. What made you go to Boeing?
Well, I was offered a job based on some communication systems. I was looking for work, and I had a person who said that McDonnell Douglas had just gotten a new contract, that I would be the right person to work in there as a radio engineer and stuff, and that my training and stuff in the Marine Corps. So they kind of prearranged it. So I went there and went to call the engineer at the time, and he called me in for an interview and did some bunch of testing, and questions. I interviewed almost all an 8-hour day, and they hired me right on the spot. 13 days later, I got out of the Corps. I went to work.
Oh, well, not much of a break after you got out then.
No.
And so you worked there for 42 years. During that time, while you were at Boeing, what exactly did you do for 42 years?
Well, I did research and development for my entire time, and I was a engineering type student. Did a lot of testing and worked with the chief engineers as they developed systems for that. And that was kind of a break for me. That later on we'll be talking about focus. Well, the McDonnell Douglas engineers at that time were World War II and Korean War veterans, so they kind of was my focus group. They kind of watched over me, helped me, and I could talk to them because they knew what it was all was about. And so I was very thankful for that family there for many years. I started working on some projects for the Army, direction finding, and then I worked on research and development for Mr. Mack. Had a pet project called Eliminate Range Zero, EROS. That's basically to eliminate two planes running into each other. We developed products for that, and then it didn't go anyplace for a long time, but now it's on a lot of commercial aircraft, especially smaller aircraft, to protect them from having head-on collisions. And then I just kept going on different projects. And then when the Vietnam War started tapering down, I was asked to go work in the fire control radar group, and it was all RF type things, and back then a lot of analog stuff. So I went over there and started working in that and built a name for myself that I was I would solve problems and come up with new ideas and work with as a team and stuff like we learned in the Marine Corps, and went on, and I just kept going up. And next thing I knew, I was there 42 plus years and attained the rank of chief scientist, fighter aircraft avionics for the program.
And so let me back up a little bit. How did some of the core values of the Marine Corps help you determine what you wanted to do when you were at Boeing?
A lot of it just like the values of integrity and being straightforward. Don't step up and say something if you see something is wrong. That proved very good advice for me, that training and stuff I got in the Marine Corps, because it allowed me to question sometimes some of my bosses. It also questioned me other programs that came in, whether it be from the Pentagon or from some of the other major defense contractors. If I didn't understand it, or if I knew for sure that it was not right, I spoke up, and it worked good for me. I mean, you have to be sensible, you have to have that integrity to move forward, and that's something I've always done.
And you had mentioned that some of the guys, when you first got into Boeing, some of the guys were World War II, Korea, and you kind of created a family. Did that help you kind of transition to, moving forward? Because I know a lot of people after they got out of the service were having some issues, not only with post-traumatic stress, but just having issues of dealing with the civilian world again, especially in 1968 when things were not so good for our veterans coming home.
Yes, it did. They actually... a lot of times would have me over at their house for dinner, and they became very good friends. We'd go out socially. They were, again, 10 or 15 years older than me because I was 25 years old when I got out of the Corps. But after 2 years there, I actually had one of the engineers and introduced me to my wife on a blind date, and we were just married in July for 55 years. So,
wow, congratulations. 55 years is a huge feat. That's a long time.
Yeah, and like you say, I just did not associate with a lot of the civilian world and stuff because they would call us baby killers and just had a different attitude toward you. So it took a long time. It took 15, 20 years for that to change.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, the wall that you Vietnam veterans stood and formed, and the Marine Corps League and other veteran service organizations, if it wasn't for you guys uniting and being one, we would probably not get the respect that we deserve today. And so I want to thank you for that, because I know that couldn't have been an easy feat.
No, you're welcome.
And so when did you start getting involved with the Marine Corps League?
When I came back, I wanted to join one of the other veterans service organizations, and I had issues, and they had issues with me being a Vietnam veteran. So we just parted ways, and I didn't do anything with veteran service organizations or the VA or anything for quite a few years. And then a Marine that was in Vietnam, also in the Air Wing, he was over there when they first went in '65. He said, we're going to start a Marine Corps League detachment in St. Charles County. I said, I never heard of the Marine Corps League. So he explained it, and I had it's the best kept secret because I had never heard of it. So I went to a couple of meetings, and I joined, and I really liked it because I was back around Marines again. And at that time, we still had a lot of we had China Marines, we had World War I Marines, World War II, Korea Marines and stuff. So quite a gamut of Marines, and the age difference didn't make a difference. We were all Marines, and we all had a good time, enjoyed doing things together for fundraisers and stuff. So I really got hooked on the organization. And as you know, I just started working to help other Marines within the organization. And after about 30 years, I wound up being National Commandant and Chief Executive Officer for the entire nation in 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Yeah, that's a huge title. Now let's go back and talk about the history of the organization. I believe the Marine Corps League was founded in 1922, 1923 by General John Lejeune.
Yes, it was. It was formed in 1923, and it was basically by General Lejeune that he wanted to take care of the wounded veterans and also the Gold Star mothers and stuff of all of the Marines that came back from World War I. So he formed the organization, and then on August the 4th in 1937, it was Congress congressionally chartered the organization as a veteran service organization, and we are the only Marine Corps organization that has been chartered by Congress even today.
Yeah,
Congress even today.
Yeah, the mission of the Marine Corps League is to promote. The mission of the Marine Corps League is to promote the United States Marine Corps, strengthen the fraternity of Marines and their families, serve Marines and Fleet Marine Force service members who wear or who have worn the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, and foster the ideals of Americanism and patriotic volunteerism. And so when you start listing, how many divisions, departments, detachments, and everything about the organization, so the headquarters of the Marine Corps League has a commandant, and then it has, up to 14 staff members?
Yeah, it has a senior vice, junior vice, and a judge advocate at the top four. And then we divided the country up into divisions. We have 10 divisions. Like in here where I live in Missouri, we're the Midwest Division. So we have Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, North, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas. And they divided the country up, and then those divisions elect their national vice commandant, who sits on the board and makes up the board of trustees for the National Marine Corps League.
And then you have, 48 departments, or is there more now since we have 50 states? It comes and goes. That depends on how active the local people maintain their detachments. We were at 49 departments when I was commandant. I think they backed off now, a couple of those. But, typically, if every state has at least 3 or 4 detachments in good standing, they can have a department. So, like here in Missouri, we have about 15 detachments within the state. And so in the United States, there's about 1,000 Marine Corps League detachments, somewhere around there.
I think it's around 1,300, something like that, of detachments across the country.
And so, what are the qualifications? I mean, besides joining the Marine Corps and serving in the Marine Corps, but say there's a Marine out there listening to this podcast who never heard of the Marine Corps League and maybe is thinking about getting involved. What is the qualifications? Now, like the VFW, you have to serve in a foreign war, but that's not the same for the Marine Corps League.
No, in the Marine Corps League, all you have to have is a honorable discharge or a general discharge under honorable conditions, and not be convicted of any type of felon. And then you can join the local detachment. We have FMF corpsmen and FMF chaplains. If you've served in that and have your FMF device, you also will be a regular member. We also take in associate members, like some of the spouses and of the veterans themselves, and also other branches, like here where I live. We had one VSO that had to turn in their charter, and so a lot of those veterans came over to us because they wanted to have camaraderie of the veterans and things like that. So we have Army, Air Force, and Navy as part of our detachment.
Okay. And so a Marine Corps League is really a grassroots, ground roots type of idea. When you think about it, yeah. You have all these detachments in each state that, reports to the departments report to the divisions, and divisions support the headquarters. About how many Marines do you think are a part of the Marine Corps League nowadays?
I think the other day they said there was around 53,000. And that's gone down a little bit because we've had so many of the World War II, Korea, and Vietnam veterans have passed away.
Yeah, so now we need Marines to fill that void, right?
Right, and that's one of the things I started when I was National Commandant. I started a thing called the 50-50 because we always have that 50-50 collection at meetings and share the pot. Mm-hmm. But I said we needed 50% of the Marines over 50 and 50% of the Marines under 50. And in a lot of areas, that has worked out very well. We have a lot of the Desert Storm and the Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans, and even the ones that's not in wartime, Marines and stuff, they're coming in. And we push all the time to try to get younger ones. We've had 5 or 6 new members join here in our area in Missouri, but we push for the younger members because they're the future of the Marine Corps League.
Of course. And so if you want to be a member, how much does it cost on a yearly basis, and how much does it cost on a lifetime membership, per se?
Okay. Just to join, typically the detachment makes up their dues. I'm not going to do the breakdown, but typically $35 to $45 per year. You get the Simplified magazine, and you get your membership cards, and you're part of the organization. We have a national convention every year. We have a business midwinter conference up in Washington, D.C. area right now. And then locally, you have your meetings usually once a month, and then we have a department meeting and one Midwest Division meeting every year. So you get a chance to go around, and that's all covered in your $35 to $45 dues.
Really?
Yes, and to get membership, I can't quote you all the fees and stuff for the life membership. They did increase those not too long ago, but I've been a life member for many years. So,
right. I know the VFW. We work on a how old you are basis. And then the American Legion, I believe they're probably the most expensive ones, which are $1,200 to $1,400 for a lifetime membership. But why do you think it's so important for Marines to be a part of the Marine Corps League?
I think it gives them that camaraderie of the Marines and the Marine ecosystem and things like that. And if you just get together, and sometimes you share war stories, sometimes you just share things that's going on in your life. I think that we have so many of our Marine detachments meet in they either have their own buildings or they have buildings and things where they are separate from some of the bars and things like that. So it's we don't get into the alcohol and stuff as like the older ones did, and that's very good for the younger ones that have chemical dependency issues. And it looks at family. It looks at that camaraderie. We have a triad, which we'll probably talk about under Focus, where we have the Marine for Life, the Marine Corps League, and Focus, and that will take care of just about any situation you have as a Marine with issues.
Yeah, and and the networking too. I know, Focus Marines Foundation and the Marine Corps League probably as well is really into the networking. A lot of people don't understand how big networking is when you get into these types of areas. Say you're a Marine, don't know what you want to do for the next 10 years or 5 years or 20 years. And you get into these organizations like the Marine Corps League, and they, the guys who are part of the Marine Corps League have many different qualifications in many different areas. Explain why networking is so important.
Well, networking gives you those resources you need. So in case you have a situation where you might need a lawyer, you might need a business person, a banker, like it is like at a lot of our team leads and stuff that organized at Focus. We have so many professional people there. We have a retired Anheuser-Busch executive attorney. We have FBI agents. We have policemen who have retired who became officers in their district. We have bankers. We have people on their own businesses. So you get exposure, and myself on the technical side, engineering and science and things like that. So it's a group of just people you can reach out to. I know when I got out, one of the best things my dad did for me was introduce me to a local banker and taught me how to think about money, how to handle money, and grow with that. So networking is it gives you that contact. I'm a big proponent of that. Like I say when I teach my class at Focus, I have never had a job walking into HR and getting it. I've always networked, gotten a job, and then HR brings me in later on. So it is so important today because with all the technology and all the computer stuff, you fill out all these resumes. But I hope I don't upset anybody. But sometimes they just go into a basket and people don't look at them and see how they fit. Where if someone says, "Oh, you're an expert in race cars and you build engines and you have a mechanical engineering degree," I know a place that's looking for someone like that. Well, you can do it. Here locally in my area in the eastern part of Missouri, 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't get enough diesel mechanics out of the military to find jobs because all the dealerships, all the farm communities with the heavy equipment, tractors, combines and stuff, were all begging for diesel technicians.
Hello, I'm Eric Calley from the Warfighters United podcast, and Modern Woodmen Fraternal Financial is hosting the 4th annual Trucking for Troops Veteran Raffle to benefit local veterans. The raffle's grand prize will be a brand new 2026 Chevrolet Silverado Crew Cab 4x4. Raffle tickets are $100 each. The drawing will take place on November 10th at 2 p.m. All proceeds from the raffle tickets will go towards supporting veterans. All tickets can be purchased at Modern Woodmen, Shaheen Chevrolet, or the VFW Post 2406 in Charlotte. Yeah, so, a little bit on that. When I got out in 2006, it just so happened I went to the local pub, and I was sitting there, and a Marine was sitting next to me, and we started talking. And out of nowhere, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I was just getting out, and I'm kind of looking for a job, but I went up and down Saginaw Street and here in Lansing, and I was putting in resumes, and I was doing all the things to try to find a job, but I was having a hard time. And all of a sudden, this Marine says, well, I know a Marine that works at the hospital. They do security. Do you want me to give him a call? And I said, well, sure. You think I could get a job? And probably about 4 days later, that Marine met me at the same place. I never went for an interview. He was the hiring guy for the security at Ingham Hospital. And all of a sudden, I went from not having a job to having a job. And if it wasn't for me opening up and networking, I would have never gotten my first job out of the Marine Corps, which ended up leading into other things. But that's exactly how networking works. And so you started or helped start Focus Marines Foundation in 2010. How did that all come about?
I was in quite a few of the people in Focus were part of the Marine Corps League. And again, the networking, the Marine Corps family is such a unique, small family that everybody knows someone connected to someone. And Tom Ilgus grabbed a hold of me and said, we're starting a group. And I said, it sounds very interesting. I will be glad to support you, but I can't do a lot of be on the board, or I can't, support it with great detail because I was still working at Boeing and traveling. And also I just started my consulting company, so I was traveling a lot for that. And but I said I could help. So he asked me to come out and sit out there and start talking to people. And I went out there, and again, it was just the right place at the right time for me. So since I've retired from the Marine Corps League, as far as the executive area and stuff like that, they asked me to be on the board of trustees. So I'm on the board of trustees at Focus. And on Monday, I teach a class along with one of the professional instructors on networking.
Yeah. So why was Focus created in the first place?
It was created by a lot of Vietnam Marines who wanted to make sure the younger veterans from Desert Storm in Iraq and Afghanistan had a much better place to go and something much better than what we had when we came home from Vietnam. So again, some of those people who were very successful in life, those bankers, those business owner, entrepreneurial people, and things like that, they got together and formed the original Focus. They had some growing pains. They reorganized and came in. And being people who are very successful in business, you look and see what you created and you're willing to change. If you don't change, you just go belly up, go bankrupt. But they kept changing and making it better. And, it has changed so much in the years that I've been working out there. And what we teach today is so different than it was when the people were just coming almost right out of the battlefields and the Wounded War regiments. It's a different focus, but it's getting better and better and better.
And I can attest to that. When I first came down there, and I believe in 2012, a lot of the guys that were coming were from the Wounded Warrior regiments, from Camp Pendleton, Camp Lejeune, Hawaii. I was actually out, and I was sent down there by a district injured support coordinator, Master Sergeant Smith. And I went through the program, and, I stayed there for a couple years, becoming an assistant team leader to Ted Kretschmeyer and learning all the information. But I had the opportunity to go back a few months ago and go through it all over again just to learn the new information. And I was astounded about how much it changed. And one of the main reasons I believe behind that is every time a class goes through, you guys ask them to write how they can make it better. Is that how you guys are getting some of the ideas to, create the change, or how does that work?
It's a multifaceted type thing, but that's exactly what we do. The first thing, they fill out critique sheets. What they liked, what they don't like, what would be better. And there's a team of people who look at that very seriously. Then we talk about it in board meetings and determine that. And then with Gunny Pop as the program director, he's always on top and help there. And with our executive director, Jennifer Jefferson, helping there, we have just developed a great, I might call it a fire team or a rifle squad, but we have a great team that looks at everything. Plus, we ourselves, we see things that just doesn't go right, or things like that. my class that I teach, I have changed it several times. How to networking because of my experience and what the people are looking for, and based on the different professional instructors and stuff that we have. So it's something that's always in constant development and change for the better. So if something is good, we enhance it. If something is bad, we get rid of it.
Yeah, and what I like, too, is back when I first went to Focus Marines Foundation, it was only for Marines. And somehow in the last 15 years, you guys have changed to where it's open to any service member that's having troubles transitioning, wounded, ill, or injured. And so you guys are getting Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, whoever it may be. When did you guys decide to open it up to all the branches of service?
I think that was about 5 years ago. We were starting to, we have what we think is the ideal class, which is about 25 students, and we were having trouble filling that sometimes. We had 4 classes a year. So we said, well, why don't we take some of the other branches, because a lot of people had filled out and made applications. Plus, in my experience working through the Marine Corps League and working in my consulting company with the Department of Defense and things like that, I kept running into other veterans that had issues. And so I kept thinking that would be a good class. So I brought it up once, and we kind of talked about it. So it's something we have adopted, and it's worked out very well. They usually fit right in. Of course, they have to live with us. It's a little bit of a rivalry sometimes, but when they're all done, we're a family of Marines and other veterans, and we get along very good. And that's one of the big things that's made this program such a success over so many is that we have the follow-up every month of the buddy checks, and then we also have the refocus where we go over class material that the students want to hear again or refresh their memory. And so we go over that again. And Jennifer said at the last board meeting that we're usually 50 to 60, sometimes 70 former students that are always check in for the refocus or the buddy check.
I actually was just on one of those not too long ago, and there must have been 20 or 30 people on there, which is an awesome thing that you guys are doing, not only to keep in contact with the people that go through the course, but to let them know that you're always there on a month in, month out basis. Right.
Yeah, in fact, the other day I received a phone call from a student that I worked with over 3 years ago, and he is down and out right now for a job, so he called me, and I talked to him for quite a while, got updated on his status, and I got a hold of my Marine for Life representative, and hopefully they will help him find the type of job that he wants.
And so you said Marine for Life. What is Marine for Life? I know it's a part of the Marine Corps League, but what does Marine for Life do?
The Marine for Life is actually owned by the Marine Corps. And
okay.
That is a function. They have different districts around the country. So we support that. We have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with them. So we network with them. So when I was on the East Coast when I was commandant of the Marine Corps League, we would have a lot of social events and stuff where industry would come in, and we would invite veterans who are looking for work, and then they could talk to the actual people from the industry, and I would go there and look for engineering type students and things like that I might need in my area, or diesel mechanics or something like that. So we would work together. So basically we formed a triad. We have Focus Marine Foundation, the Marine for Life, and the Marine Corps League. And with that gives you kind of a total group of everything you need. And the big thing, like with Focus Marines, if you've got the challenges of the PTSD, anxiety, depression, self-worth, insomnia, isolation, addiction, you need to sign up for Focus, be vetted, and get put into a class. If you need employment, education, networking, direction, mentorship, business contacts, and expertise, then we'll hook you up with the Marine for Life representatives. And if you need family, fellowship, teamwork, mentorship, camaraderie, community, and volunteering, then you need to get into a local Marine Corps League detachment.
Wow. Hey, you just covered a lot of bases right there. So primarily, if you're a Marine and you're in need, Focus Marines Foundation is the way to go. And so what do you do during the week, Wendell, at Focus Marines Foundation? Besides the classes, you go through, some mental classes, some different ways to look at things like the 3 R's. Maybe you could explain the 3 R's to the listeners out there.
Well, I'm probably not the right one to do that.
Okay.
But I can tell you that typically the first few days is when you first come in on a Saturday. You come in for one full week, and the first Saturday and Sunday, you get to know the Marines and the other veterans who are in your class. You develop relationships, and you do fun things like archery, horsemanship, walking, hiking, exercise, things there. So you develop that camaraderie, and then we divide you up into tables. And then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, the tough days, because you go through things like the 3 R's. You go through things like your comfort zone. You go through things like that you're having issues with to address what's in your backpack that you've been carrying all these years, how to unload that rucksack and get it off your back. And there's some pretty tough times, but everybody there and the hugs and things like that and helping and people there to support you, that's the big plus. And then on Thursday and Friday, we teach you skills to get back into civilian life. We teach, besides the first 3 days, we teach you skills how to get along with your spouse, your girlfriend, your parents, your business associates, and things like that. So you don't have all that anxiety and just jumping every time they say something to you, jump back at them. You learn about the gap, which is sit back and think before you respond to something they've said. So you learn all those skills. We teach you a little bit about money management, about budgeting. That was one of the first things that I noticed whenever I first started working there. I'd help Marines set up the budget of income and outflow, and some of the Marines would say, "How come this turned red?" I says, "Because you're spending more than you're making." I said, "You can't do that all your life. You got to be able to save some." So we try to teach you those life skills. We talk about resumes, things like that. So everything that you need to adapt and get into the civilian world. You're still a Marine, you're still a airman, you're still a Navy guy, you're still an Army guy, but you got to live in the civilian world also.
Yeah, and what I also liked about the week is, so when you get there on Saturday or Sunday, and it wasn't like this back in 2012, the team, the assistant team leaders who help the team leaders, their day is Sunday, where you get to not only meet them, they tell their stories about, what bring them to Focus, why they volunteer for Focus, but you actually start a bond on Sunday before you actually start the classes on Monday. And I think that is probably a huge benefit because a lot of these guys are coming all across the nation. They're coming from every corner of the United States. And so they don't know who, and a lot of times, like, they'd get this or they get that or they get help. And so when they come, they're on edge. But it's amazing by that Friday, they're not on edge anymore. And they created that bond. And what I also like about Focus too is once you go through Focus, you're a Focus graduate for life. And any time that you have issues or problems and you call up your team leader per se, or somebody that was in your group, they all form a brotherhood around you or sisterhood to help you. And I tell you what, if you're a service member out there and you're having issues, you're having transitional issues, you're having, post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury issues, or any kind of service-connected disabilities, or you just feel like you don't belong in the civility of the world, FocusMarinesFoundation.org is always accepting of any service member that needs help. So, Wendell, you've been, volunteering for almost 15 years for the Focus Marines Foundation. And what has it been like for you, seeing over the last 15 years the impact that you make on veterans?
I have learned more than probably what I have shared with the other people, because it's a learning experience of the different generations. It's a learning experience of, even though we're all Marines, it's different conflicts, different things that went on. When I was in, how we operated and how we had different equipment and stuff like this. Today, it's amazing with technology, and I've been part of that technology all my life, has changed. Today, female Marines carrying satellite radios, where back when I was in, a satellite radio was almost 80 pounds. And it's just the things have changed, and you learn from these people who are taking a class, and you get to share. And that's one of the big things I kind of like to touch on a little bit before we end here, is that all the mentors are former students who have gone away and become very successful, and they have come back to share, to pay it forward as mentors. And then they are the future team leads of the organization, because all of us Vietnam guys are starting to get up in middle age, and so they will be the future there. So we don't see this program going away, even though we're in peacetime right now, so to say. Veterans still have issues with being in the military, being deployed all the time. Back when I first joined the Marine Corps, you couldn't be married because you were deployed all the time. So things have changed over the years, and Focus is here to help with that. And we have 4 classes a year, and you go on our website and Focus Marines.org, and you can apply for volunteering, or you can apply to become a student. So please take advantage of this. And we pay for everything. All you have to do is arrange for your time off from working if you're working.
Yeah, and when you say you pay for everything, you pay for everything. That includes flights. They pick you up at the airport. They even pay for your baggage, your whole week that you spend there. Tell me a little bit about the facility out at Focus Marines Foundation.
It's an amazing facility. It's out in rural Missouri, in a little town. We're close to a little town called Augusta. The actual facility belongs to one of the founders, Don Brower, and he has donated his site and his buildings, which is a big clubhouse, and then we have areas there for the females and also for the males, for the students, and then we have the team leads, because all the team leads are not from local. They come in from all over the country to that, so they have there. I'm very fortunate. I drive back and forth every day, but it's out in rural Missouri, a lot of woods and trails and things like that. And this property was owned by a World War II Marine, and John bought the property from him. And it was a business. I think John still has some type of business there, raising different types of things. Used to raise, do different kinds of flowers and vegetation and things like that. But the facility is just beautiful, and we have about 125 volunteers for every class, because we do 3 meals a day. We have the team leads, we have the mentors, we have the instructors, people like me. I interview every student that goes through the class. I interview them, and we have a one-on-one discussion, talk about where they are, what their plans are, and what they want to do after they leave.
Well, and along with that, not only you do that, but there's a few hours in there where they task the students to do networking, find this such and such person that did this in the past, or who was the police officer, who was the FBI guy, who was the professional baseball player, and so there's like a list, and what I loved about it is they actually made us cards. Like, networking cards with your name on it. Yep. And, your whole job was to go out and meet each team leader, because you never know what that team leader did or does or still does that could help you in the future.
That's correct. Yeah, you learn all about a business card. You learn about putting contacts in your phone and things like that. So, yeah, we teach you a lot of skills that you can use every day in your life.
Yeah, and so with that, when is the next Focus Marines Foundation course?
It's coming up in November. Hang on here a second. I'll get the class up here on my phone. Okay, the next class starts on the 15th of November and goes through to the 22nd of November.
Yeah,
so you come in on a Saturday and you go home the following Saturday.
And so if you're a veteran out there that this sounds interesting, or something that you could use to not only benefit you, benefit your family, benefit anybody that please tell them about FocusMarinesFoundation.org. It's very simple. All you have to do is go to that website, and you can either apply to go to the class, or if you want to volunteer, or, even if you wanted to donate to help this course help as many veterans as possible. Because, for 15 years, you've done four classes a year. You're talking, you guys about done 60 courses so far?
Yes.
And out of 60 courses, it has definitely helped thousands of... how many participants do you think have went through the program so far?
I think it's 1,100 plus right now has been through the class. 1,100
plus. And yeah. So, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you're having issues, FocusMarinesFoundation.org. Wendell, is there any saved rounds that you'd like to get across?
Well, when you go on the site, it has the classes for 2026. They've already been scheduled. The first one in 2026 is March the 21st to the 28th. So you can go in there and you can kind of pick a class that fits into your schedule if you want to attend. And I totally encourage any Marine to sign up for this class.
Yeah, it can only benefit you. It can benefit your family. I know it benefited me. It's where I first got my start 15 years ago when I got out of the military. And so, Wendell, I want to not only thank you for volunteering for, Focus Marines Foundation, being the Marine Corps League commander, a commandant of the nation, and serving in Vietnam. You guys don't get thanked enough. The way America was back then was just despicable to me. And if it wasn't for you guys, it would probably still be that way. So I definitely want to thank you for all that you've done over the last 50 or 60 years, Wendell.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, and if you guys want to find out more, you can go to warfightersunited.com. Focus Marines Foundation, there's a hyperlink there. There's also some other podcasts that talk about Focus Marines Foundation. Or if you want to learn more about the podcast, you can go to Warfighters United Podcast on Facebook. Or if you want to email me, or if you have any questions, warfightersunitedpodcast@gmail.com. Well, Wendell, thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate you too.
Hoorah.
To speak with Eric Calley and Warfighters United, you can email him at eric@warfightersunited.com or call 517-699-0111.